So today I'm going to talk about running LLMs on your iPhone using MLX over sustained periods of time. I'm not talking about like one generation or one or two like prompts and answers. But what happens when you run LLMs over say like 10, 15 generations, so it's like 15 minutes, something like that. So like why are we doing this? So the question we're trying to answer is like over here we are experimenting with personal, always on personal agents. So this requires us to run LLMs over a sustained period of time on edge devices where there are some certain constraints like memory and power. So for us, the right metric to measure is performance over sustained load, as opposed to like peak performance where you measure how fast the generation is over like for one question and one answer. So now what we try to research is like, is this possible with current hardware that's widely available with users? So how did we measure, how did we try to find this out? So there are like around about 6 metrics that we measure. So the first thing is something called initialization, which measures initialization cost. What's called a TTLM, which is time to load model. This measures like the amount of time that it takes the MLX framework to load a model from disk to memory to make it ready for inference. And the next is interactive latency, which is time to first token. So this measures like when you give a prompt and hit run, how much time does it take to generate the first token, not the entire output, but to hit the first token. So this will be the loading indicator, for example. And then we also have prompt/ingestion throughput. This is measured in tokens per second. We also have generation throughput. Now the difference between these two is the ingestion throughput is the speed with which the model tries to decode the prompt that you give it. So this is the speed. So we can measure it by the total prompt token amount. By the time to first token, we'll give you the ingestion throughput in tokens per second. Generation throughput is obviously how many tokens it's generating per second for your answer. You also measure the battery consumption over the sustained period and the device thermal profile, so how the device heats up and cools down and things like that. So this is the prompt that we tested. It's around 275 tokens over 25 iterations. So it's like a detailed prompt that tries to make the LLM answer like some questions about consciousness. You can just give it a quick read if you're interested in like what the prompt is. So the model that we benchmarked it on is Qwen 2.5 with about 1.5 billion parameters quantized to 4 bits. We're using MLX to run the inference on an iPhone 16 Pro with 8 GB of unified memory. So this is the results that our benchmarking test resulted in. So as you can see, like over 25 iterations, you can see the thermal state. So initially, it's normal only for the first 2 iterations. Within the third iteration, it starts getting warm, and then by the 8th iteration, it gets really hot. At around 25, the device gets to the physical touch. It gets very hot, and within around 3 iterations, you can see the generation throughput almost half, from 40 tokens per second to just around 23. So, and also at the same time, you can also see the battery level. So the total generation time was around 15 minutes ish, and in that time frame, you can see the battery level dropped from 100% all the way to 90. So it's a bit more than 10%. So in 15 minutes of inference, we consume more than 10% of battery. So the conclusion is that you can run LLMs over sustained periods on your iPhone, but with some gotchas. And the primary issue is the performance degradation caused by the thermal constraints. So the device, once it gets hot, the operating system enforces like performance constraints to protect the device. So that's why you get this degraded performance very quickly within 1 or 2 iterations, and just stays at that level. So actually, we ran the same experiment on multiple hardware, including a Raspberry Pi, a Samsung Galaxy Ultra 4, S24, and a laptop with NVIDIA RTX. So we actually published this paper. If you are interested, like you can scan this QR code and look at how the results are across all of these devices. Oh, sorry. Just wait for me. I will share that all link on the group as well. So, yes. So if anybody has any questions,